Someone else who's also got some big debates to make is Thomas Tuchel. So he'll be announcing his first England squad on Friday. And we know there'll be a couple of guarantees on the Arsenal side. Obviously, Bukayo Saka won't be there. Declan Rice is a guarantee. I think it's fair to say Miles Lewis-Skelly should also be a guarantee after Lewis Hall's injury. And, now that Hall is out for the season and out for this international break, does Lewis-Skelly have a brilliant chance to start for England this month?
You would think so. I don't really see there's a better left back than him at the moment. Like you said, Luke Shaw's injured, isn't he? Lewis Hall, he's had a very good season, injured. So, what other options really are there apart from moving players across, which we've seen England do before? So I think he'll be in the squad. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he starts. Maybe Thomas Tuchel decide to sort of ease him in a little bit, but I don't think Lewis Skelly would be phased by it at all. He's not the sort of character to sort of shy away from that sort of stuff. So, and I think he deserves it. I think he's been really, really good. I think Ethan's got a good shout of being in there as well. With my Arsenal hat on, maybe I'm being a little bit overprotective, but I kind of look at it and think, could probably do with it. Just wait until the start of next season before these two get called up. Do they really need to be thrust into the spotlight right now? But from a purely footballing point of view, if Thomas Tuchel does call both of them up, I can completely understand why he does, why he would. But what we've seen from Ethan again, like yesterday at Old Trafford, there'll be highs like there were against PSV when he's exceptional, and then you're gonna have dips like he did against Man United where nothing really happened for him, and the ball was sort of breaking down every time it got over to his side. It's just what happens with 17-year-olds. There's going to be inconsistency there, but he's shown he's more than capable of being able to hold his own at Premier League and I'm sure at international level as well. So I wouldn't be stunned at all if he gets called up.
Yeah, it's interesting there what you said about with your Arsenal hat on, because I've seen reports that Nwaneri, he's not even had his under 21s call up yet, neither has Lewis Skelly, and the FA may decide that they want to take them to the under 21s instead, and then, like you say, gradually ease them in. But, with your Arsenal hat on, like you said, is there an argument to include, say, potentially Nwaneri in the seniors if he just sits on the bench and there's less risk of injury than if he played in the under 21s? Or, from his point of view, would it be better to go for the under 21s and just get that experience at a higher level?
I think I think if you're Thomas Tuchel, he's been brought in to win the World Cup. It's all he's looking at doing. That's what his contract's to, and he's looking at the World Cup. And right now, if you look into that World Cup squad, it's a pretty safe bet to suggest Ethan Nwaneri is going to be in it. And so, what you kind of want him in the squad as soon as possible to start getting used to that. So I think he brings him in. I don't think he has to start. Like you said, I think if he does go in, he gets a look. He gets introduced to the players, to the setup, to the coaching staff. Then that's absolutely fine. If he maybe gets 20 minutes here or there in a couple of the games, brilliant. I don't think he needs to be thrown straight into the starting 11. I think it's slightly different with Miles because there's no other left backs really. So if he starts, I can understand that. But with Ethan, I think the best thing is probably call him up, have him involved, maybe give him 20 minutes, but that's kind of a lot. And this is like, welcome to the setup, kid. Adjust your surroundings, and then we'll go from there. Maybe at the start of next season. It makes a lot of sense. And Arteta trusts Thomas Tuchel. He said that himself. So I think if they do that, that'll be. I don't really see the point in the under 21s, to be honest. I think he'll play more minutes in the under 21s. He'll probably play 90 minutes twice. Which does he really need to do that with the amount of minutes he's already had to play as a 17-year-old in the Premier League? No, I don't think that would do anyone any good. And I think ultimately he's too good for the 21s anyway. So. Yeah, I am being quite overly protective as a sort of Arsenal fan, I think, sort of looking at it, but I could completely understand why Tuchel would want him. But then it's just about managing him properly, and I think what you suggested there is probably the perfect way to do that over the 2 weeks when he is with the squad.
Yeah, I think given how these international breaks have gone so far this season, Mikel will be having his fingers crossed for the entire period, just praying for no
Yeah.
more injuries. And well, one player who has just come back from injury is Ben White, as we've discussed with the PSV game. Obviously, hasn't played for England since the last World Cup. It's been reported that Tuchel has held talks with him to see if he would be open to a return. But even if he does make this U-turn, is this squad still too early because of how recently he's recovered from injury?
I think it probably is, just because I think he'd be fine to be in it, but I just think he hasn't really played that many minutes. Like we said, maybe he'll start against PSV, but it's 15 minutes here and there, and then sat on the bench like he did yesterday. Unused sub a couple of times. I'm just not sure he's played enough minutes to be able to get into the squad yet. Then, there's definitely been conversations there, and I think Thomas Tuchel is absolutely wants to get Ben White back involved. Why wouldn't he? Because he's a fantastic defender, and if you're England manager, you want your best players in the squad. Um, but it just feels like I'm just not sure he played enough minutes to sort of warrant the spot yet. So it might be that. I mean, we'll see what he does in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple of games before the squad's announced. Maybe 60 minutes against PSV will be enough to get himself in there. And also Thomas Tuchel, I imagine, probably wants him in sooner rather than later, just to get rid of there's going to be a lot of furore over it when he gets called back up, isn't there? There's going to be lots of questions. Why is he back in the squad? He rejected, he turned his back on England and all that stuff. That's bound to happen. Despite, I think a lot of people know why Ben White decided not to play for England. But there is going to be criticism from people. We've seen it before. Pundits have come on, old England managers, old England players have come on saying he's disgraced. He should never play for England again. He's turned his back on his country. So there are going to be inevitable questions when that call up's done. Maybe Thomas Tuchel's just thinking, you know what, let's just do it now, get it out of the way, and then we can all move on and then can be on the squads later. If you don't include him now, you're kicking that can further down the road, and the questions are just going to come in a couple of months' time. So maybe just do it now, get it out of the way, and then you're sorted. And for Ben White, maybe it's better as well. It's not hanging over his head anymore. He'll probably be a little bit nervous about walking into that change room for the first time, even though there'll be other Arsenal players in there. So he'll probably want to get it out of the way as well. So maybe it's just suits all parties just to do it now, call him up, and then move on.